still, keep still, keep still.
Plague, pestilence and misery all await the most haunted team at Mary King's Close. Nestled deep beneath the Royal Mile in Edinburgh, there's a hidden labyrinth of narrow streets and houses. Dark shadows, strange noises, and even apparitions of body parts have been reported here.
So scary is this place that some staff members refuse to enter certain areas on their own. With that in mind, we just had to come and investigate Mary King's Close.
The area of Mary King's Close was originally a number of streets lined with houses, taverns and shops. Buildings were up to 7 stories high and housed hundreds of Edinburgh's inhabitants. But in 1645, the city was hit by the bubonic plague, and the squalid confines of the Close proved a fertile breeding ground for the Black Death. In an attempt to stem the spread of this ravaging disease, city officials quarantined Mary King's Close, and although victims of the plague were cared for, many died in their homes. By the mid-18th century, the council decided to build the Royal Exchange actually on top of the Close. Residents left the area and the street became a subterranean underworld, buried for centuries. But the Close was recently reopened, allowing its macabre history to be retold.
When the plague, the Black Death, came here to Scotland, it was so severe that the Scottish Parliament actually moved from Edinburgh to Stirling to avoid it. Here, hundreds and hundreds of people living in a very small area, obviously infecting each other. So the area was sealed off, possibly by consent of the people as well, and many, many people died here, which is probably one of the reasons why there are ghost stories. There was an awful lot of death and anguish that went on here.
Certainly when you go to open up and close at night times, you can actually tell if there's a certain vibe. Sometimes you can feel that it's good when you go down, other times you can feel that there's something not quite right. Some rooms you can instantly tell that there's something there. It's a heavy feeling that you get when, you know, something's not quite right.
This house is so haunted that some members of staff refuse to enter alone. The ghost of a man just standing and staring has been seen many times before he slowly disappears. Also, dark shadows have been seen and footsteps are often heard.
In the Chesney house, the corridor that runs away from the front door towards the back of the building is very long and very quiet and leads nowhere. It's now a dead end, perhaps literally a dead end. And I was standing in there waiting for a tour to pass by on the close outside, and it suddenly became very, very cold, and it almost seemed to become a lot darker than it had been. That was bad enough, but then the footsteps that started at the back of the building in a sealed-off corridor and went right past me to the front door were enough to make me, well, I think the phrase is do a runner, up the close, up the stairs and into the outside world. Sounds melodramatic now, but I was absolutely terrified because it's a one-way corridor. There's no other way in.
A woman murdered her son-in-law close to this very spot, and she was executed for her crime. Since then, his wounded figure has been seen and heard reenacting the moment of his death.
We were closing up once with one of our guides coming down the stairs, and just for a second I was quite certain that we saw boots coming down the side of the stairs behind her. Gentleman in a long black coat, but could only see him from the waist down.
These rooms are arguably the most haunted part of the Close. As well as cold spots, phantom voices and dark shadows, the spirit of a little girl has been seen wandering endlessly, trying to find her mother, who apparently left her to die during the plague. She's been seen so many times that guests like to leave toys for her to play with. But is she just waiting on an endless vigil, or are these rooms just old and empty? We have 24 hours to find out.
I think it highly likely that things will happen for the Most Haunted team over the next however many hours you spend down here alone and in the dark. And I'd be very surprised if the spirits of Mary King's Close let you have a quiet night.
So Phil, what are your first impressions of Mary King's Close?
My first impressions, very, very spooky, dark, especially when all the lights go off, and it makes me very nervous just to be here already in the daytime.
It's interesting as well because when we were filming earlier on, when we first came down here, lots of us were having headaches, some of us were feeling a little bit sick. Is this typical of this place?
One of the main reasons for that could possibly be due to the fact that this area was subject to marsh gases in the 1600s. So I'm just wondering if any of that is resident now, which could possibly cause headaches and hallucinations. For instance, there was a family that lived here called the Cold Hearts after the plague in 1645. And they saw some really outlandish things like a floating head, a severed arm, headless animals, that kind of thing. So you never know if that's the actual marsh gases playing with people's imaginations.
As we descended into the maze of streets which make up the close, the crew began to feel a little apprehensive. We all knew the history of this location and how many people had died within these walls, but the close quarters meant it was also really claustrophobic. It was soon time for psychic Derek Acorah to join us on location, and we were ready to start investigating paranormal activity at Mary King's Close.
As we're walking down here, down to these levels, what is it's like as if I've got, in memory it's the residual, there's no two ways about that, it's not active, but it's like as if I'm getting a lot of people, and there's a lot of moaning, there's a lot of screaming, and a lot of crying, and a lot of, just like a pathetic screeching at times and what have you. And they're marked, and it's like as if they're falling down, and the stench and the smell is terrible.
Yeah.
Can you not smell? No. And it sounds like coming up at me from here, from these levels, and coming from down there. And it's like, the only way I can describe it is if a lot of people, you know, went down, got very ill, and they weren't tended to, and it was just, they were crawling, some of them. It was so pathetic what I've just sensed now, and screaming and crying, and children as well.
Did these people die?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And the energies, the residual energy is like just up at me, and it's surrounding me. It's all around us. It's all around the crew.
What did they die of? What was it?
It's a plague. It's a plague.
Right.
A plague.
The stench you said you could smell.
Yes.
Is that coming from the people who were dying or another source?
I feel it's coming from the actual skin, the flesh of the people. It's really, really, you know, poignant to me. Here, all around me.
Show me further
Yeah.
down.
A lot of people.
I hate this room.
Well, you know, this is despair in this room, and in this direction, this energy. Okay, I just feel as if.
Sorry.
Who's walking?
No, of course. Did anybody else hear that? Yeah, like a kind of, not hear it, almost like a cry.
In this direction, this energy. Okay, I just feel energy. Okay, I just feel as if. It's the cows. There's cows, there's goats. All their energies are in here.
That's
A mixture of animals here.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah,
That's where they were kept.
Keep them in there.
Oh, there's a lot of them.
Do you want to go in there or do you want to stay in here?
Just for the moment, can we just stay in
Yeah.
here? energy in this area here is of deep despair. Despair. It's like saying, I know that's there, but I feel as if a man's physical, his remains belong there. Mm-hmm. And his spirit, I feel, wouldn't rest properly. Because it's like as if he's flaying himself because he felt responsible. Responsible for what, Sam? For what? Can I say? It's like as if he may have been the head of the house, mm-hmm. and he come in unwittingly, unknowing, what have you, and maybe those conditions of the germs and what have you come in mm-hmm. and devastated this area.
Oh, so he feels responsible for bringing it in the house?
Yes. He's in visitation, but he's still in torment.
Derek had already picked up on the tortured souls of plague victims. Would we encounter other spirits as we continue to explore the abandoned homes of Mary King's Close? Derek wanted to explore more of the rooms in this network, and it wasn't long before he picked up on the presence of another spirit.
Now, I'm very aware of movement, spiritual connection of some form here, and I feel in this area, ooh, okay, yeah. Here, I feel at times there's a lot of shouting, screeching going on in the atmosphere. People would be, oh, yeah. I feel that people who would walk in here like ourselves now, they would probably get a feeling thrown to them, you know, don't come in here, that sort of feeling. Mm-hmm. Because if you do, you don't know what you're going to face suddenly. And I feel there's a fear, and there's a spirit person who moves down in these areas. It's a male, mm-hmm. and he's always trying to build this like fear factor to people, and he's going about it in different ways. It's not just one way. It's like the screeching sounds, you know, noises, bangs, and making people feel, especially in this area as well, I feel they probably feel sickly mm-hmm. once they come into this atmosphere. Mm-hmm. Now, especially going towards this area, mm-hmm. more so than there. And it's like a recess or something here. Yeah. And I feel that there, right, in this angle here, this is where this male would do, you know, there'd be definitely a sense of foreboding.
So who is he then, and why is he still here?
He's done something, I feel he's done something despicable. He's of mind, a negative mind, an evil source mind, and I would say at this moment in time, I can't say a multiple murderer, but certainly a murderer. Mm-hmm. You know, he's taken souls' lives.
How is he doing that?
I can't actually pick that yet, but mm-hmm. I feel just in this energy here, coming in, not always being here, but so this area could be quiet for, you know, fixed periods, and then suddenly, when he's come in, it's like all hell breaking loose of noise.
Is Sam able to give us a name or a possible date for this man?
Can you, Sam? Can you give me this? Yes. 1651? 1651.
Okay, thanks.
Okay? 1651. Okay. But can I say this? He comes in here, but he doesn't belong here. He doesn't reside here. He didn't reside here. Mm-hmm. But he comes in.
So he didn't live here?
I don't feel so, no. No. In this area, I'm getting this, my head swirling here.
Your head's swirling?
My head's swirling with, and this is not just residual positive or negative energy as we come in here, but okay. Come on, Sam. Okay. in this area, thank you, at times I feel there's activity, quite a lot of activity in this area, and this activity would confuse, and they've done it to confuse. You're going to think this is absolutely crazy, but you know, as we're coming through here, I saw a mental imagery of a man's face, full beard, bedraggled look, and you know, all I saw was his head. And it's like his head, there's no body. And there's like arms and legs and body torsos. And it's like as if it's in these areas here at times. And if a person was to actually physically see this, do you think they were going crazy? Who? Okay. Yes. Away from here? Okay. And what happened to him? I can say it, okay. Thomas, the name, it said Thomas Weir. Thomas Weir. How do you spell that, Sam? Thomas Weir. W-E-I-R. Okay? Yes. And for his deeds, he was an evil one. He linked with some form of witchcraft.
Do we know what kind of job he did? It's just purely for sort of research.
What was he, Sam? Oh, Sam says of high office. What do you mean, Sam? A bit more, please. He's now calling him Major.
Major Thomas Weir?
Major, he keeps on saying Major, so I've got to give that. He is a killer. He was a killer.
Is this the man with the beard that you're talking about?
I feel that this is the person I'm talking about now, and he's responsible at times to actually come into this atmosphere, and you see, I also get this feeling he doesn't belong here. He doesn't belong here, but he's in. Yes, for his deeds, he was executed. He was a master of something with witchcraft, the darkened side of the witchcraft. And his energy comes here, and he's responsible, he's the one, Sam's pinpointed him, he's the one responsible for these energies. It's all coming from one person. And he's a sordid soul. He was and he still is. And he, just to frighten, I suppose, or alarm, he'd show his face, then, it's like, to me, like a severed arm, a leg, and just a body torso.
Is there a year that you can put with this man when he was executed?
Can you give me that, Sam? Come on, help me with this, come on. Go on, you can say 16... Is that 90? 91. 1691.
And that's when he was executed?
Is that when he was is that when they... Yeah. Sam says yes.
Right.
Okay.
Thomas Weir. Okay.
Thomas Weir.
That gives us something. Yeah.
Okay.
It was time to switch off the lights and turn on the night vision cameras. Whilst Derek prepared to continue his walk around in the dark, we asked guest psychic Derek Ogilvie if he could pick up on the presence of any spirits in the close.
There's a lady here, and she is very distressed. She is wanting to clear her lungs. She's very concerned about clearing her lungs, and she's very, very powerful. Now, she likes to be at the top of the stair because she's telling me she likes to watch who comes down here. She doesn't like. She's saying to me just now that she feels that it's a circus. She feels that people are coming down here to pry and to get involved in something that's got nothing to do with them.
What's her name? Can you give us a name?
Shh. Just give me a wee second. Shh, 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 shh. There's something about like Shona or Sheila, right? Now, but when I'm being shown that, it's weird. The accent's very weird. Sheila, The accent's very weird. Now, weird to me, that's weird to me being, I'm from Glasgow, so therefore there are dialects, obviously, throughout Scotland. I think it's Sheila.
Sheila.
Sheena. She's... Now, there's a gentleman who came up the stairs. Oh, he's telling me about his shoes, and he just said to me he has his shoes, he has very nice shoes, and that would be very unusual. His shoes, it's unusual to have shoes or to have such polished shoes, brogues. I think he's a cobbler.
Right.
Yes. Yeah. He's telling me about fixing shoes and repairing shoes and how it's important for him to have shoes, and if he wasn't a cobbler, he wouldn't be able to have the shoes that he has.
Derek Ogilvie wasn't able to tell us anything more about this gentleman. However, Derek Okora was keen to continue his walk around and was drawn to Annie's room, where visitors have reported the presence of a small child.
Now this, you just couldn't believe the differences of the energies, both residual and activity out there, and we come into this room and I get this most open-hearted little girl. How can she, Sam, how can she be linked in energy when that energy negative is out there? They're on a different level. She is prevented from seeing him. She must have, oh bless. What? She goes around and she's in a spirit body, and it's like I wonder, where's my mummy and daddy? Oh. Where's my mummy and daddy? Where's my mummy and daddy? And it's like, I get the feeling of, with the child, loneliness and sadness, and just a feeling of her going into sleep and then waking and saying, where's my mummy and daddy? And then hours and hours and hours, and then sleep, and then say that. I feel she's starved. She's starved. Sam just give me Mary and Alice. I said, Alice? Who's Alice? Alice was, Alice is her mum. Mary, the little girl Mary, and Alice is the mum. Alice is the mum who left her.
Right.
And didn't come back, or didn't come back for a long time, and she was found, she died. I feel that was starvation.
Did she die in this room?
I feel so, yes. Yeah.
How old did you say she was? Did you give her an age?
I haven't at the moment. Again, I feel she'd be around 3.5, something, 3.5, 4. She's a little one.
Derek Okora had picked up on the presence of a little girl called Mary, but we were about to find out that not all the spirits here were so friendly.
You're going to fall? Do you want help?
Derek was keen to continue exploring the close and soon picked up on a tragic event.
Oh, okay. Clear that for me, Sam, clear it for me. Okay. A man lost his life here. And I just get that residual energy, the mental imagery, and it's like he's screaming, he knows his life's blood, there's a man beating him, and he won't stop, and he's screaming for his life, and he's just beaten to a pulp. And it's just his thoughts, the one, his thoughts, and this replay happens time and time again. The one who's murdered this poor soul, he spends a lot of time. He is grounded. He's not gone into the world of spirit. He's a bad one and a nasty one. And he is responsible, thanks Sam, he is responsible for a lot of, I suppose, audible. He's the shadow. He's the shadow. Thank you, Sam. He's the shadowy figure.
Right.
The dark one. And he, this poor soul, this one who murdered him, he cajoled him in here. He got him under some kind of pretense. These two men, the murderer and the one who was killed, slaughtered, I pick up homosexuality.
Right.
Homosexuality. And I feel one had told the other to come in and they would do what, you know, that happened, what they do. And when he lured him here, in his rage, the rage is still here. It's unbelievable, and the replay of it. The rage. You know, and he beat him, and he's screaming, why? Why you do, why? Because this is a sordid, negative-minded soul that I feel couldn't... Is that what that was, Sam? Is that what that was? He couldn't come to terms with his feelings, what he was. And he destroyed this man. He took his life from him in this major attack of anger. It's like when a person doesn't want to be seen or known to be that way. And those feelings never, ever leave this area. And I feel at that point when he did this despicable thing, he'd lost it. That was the...
Yeah, the final thing.
Yeah, and I feel he was... from there, he may have slipped that much. He's gone insane for a short period. Okay. Okay, well, there's one balance thing that seems to have happened here. This man who did this horrible thing to the other man, man's justice caught up with him, and he was executed.
Oh, right.
Okay, so, and the execution wasn't here, but I feel his spirit rushed back here to his sordid sanctum, and he's never wished to leave again because, again, and we've encountered this before in other investigations, haven't we, where the spirit, when I've said, I get that feeling also, that the spirit is realised that he was, you know, he had to pay for this horrible deed, but he's, to this present day, will not want in any way, shape or form to leave here because he fears what will await him.
Retribution.
Yeah.
Before long, it was time to start the vigils. This was the first time Alex had ever been on a Most Haunted investigation, and she was a little apprehensive about what might happen. Would she, Kath and John witness anything significant at Chesney's house?
This is bloody horrible.
Right, we're in a room now. Well, we could close the door if we wanted.
Oh, right.
Can we close the door behind us? Let's close the door behind us.
John.
Yeah.
I feel like there's somebody behind over there.
It's me. It's all right.
No, I know you're behind me, but in that
Do you?
room.
Don't worry, Kath, there's nothing I can see. You keep your camera over there.
I seriously felt like there was something really behind me.
Really?
Yeah, and you know today,
Yeah.
when I was in here, every time we came in here to do any filming, I felt really, really sick and, you know, like a really bad headache. I felt so uncomfortable. I don't know why.
Well, let's carry on, yeah.
It makes me feel really anxious.
Yeah, I'm not too comfortable with it myself, but to be honest, I haven't seen, I haven't felt like there's anyone in here. It just feels very, feels quite claustrophobic because we've closed the door and we're within a house or within a corridor which has been closed off, within a set of corridors, do you know what I mean? So it's not like we could run anywhere. But there's an area over here I want to show you, which is even more...
I've just got an arm.
Just behind you is a staircase. Just behind you is a staircase which goes down, which no one has been down. If you paid me any amount of money, there's no way I would go down there. Because one, is unsafe and you probably fall straight through. And secondly, no one knows what the fuck's down there. And do you know what I mean? There could be anything down there.
What do you suggest now?
Well, we've gone into each corner of the place. No, I thought I heard something behind that door.
It was clicking. There was clicking before.
Well, I can't hear it now. I suggest maybe we have a minute of silence.
They waited to hear for the noise again, but were disappointed that nothing else happened. After apparently sensing the presence of a number of spirit people earlier in the evening, Derek Ogilvie was keen to go on a vigil.
That guy keeps looking at me in the corner and he is freaking me out. Chat with the rough. Gordon, you can validate this. The fact that this chap is standing in the corner. So people have seen him before, yeah?
Which corner?
This chap here.
It's that whole area.
They see the chap?
Something over there, yeah.
Yes. He's laughing again. He's going, ah. He's laughing. I can't actually get his laugh to a T. I'm not Mike Yarwood, but it's a crackle. He's so interesting. Let me ask him his name, please. What I do when I ask spirits' names is I form the alphabet in my head. So I'm going to ask him to put a circle round and which. Okay, he's taking me down to there's something about Rab.
What?
Oh,
what?
Sorry.
What?
Oh my God Almighty.
What's the matter?
Oh, for God's sake.
Not long after being in this room, Derek Ogilvie appeared overwhelmed by the strength of a spirit. The intensity of the experience seemed just too much for him, and he eventually collapsed. Could Derek have experienced the feelings of physical sickness so often reported at the Close?
You alright?
You alright?
We were shocked that Derek had so quickly been overcome by what seemed to be a spirit, and we had no idea what would happen next. Derek Acorah decided that he'd return to Annie's room with Stuart and Phil. This was the room where he picked up on the spirit of a girl called Mary.
It's reported that these teddy bears move, Phil.
There has been a couple of mentions of things being moved, but nobody's quite sure what does it. Whether it's paranormal or they're just falling off through time. Apparently, a psychic once when she was down here picked up on a little girl being here, and that she was lonely, and she brought a doll to keep the little girl company.
Right.
And ever since, people have been coming down here and leaving little toys.
Okay.
That's why all these toys are around us.
But why are they on the floor, though?
Carl arranged them like that to see if they'd get moved.
Okay.
As a sort of experiment.
when I come in here early tonight, I picked up very strongly on a little girl's energy.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the loneliness. And, you know, as if she'd been, you know, left abandoned. She's grounded here, and really, basically she should be released and should be go over to the world of spirit properly.
I'm just going to sort of put these little toys back. That's a bit of a...
A goodwill gesture.
There we go. They'll probably all come flying out now, you watch. Well, one thing's for sure, none of them moved in the time that we're down here. So. That was me, I think. Yeah.
Now, just to my left ankle there, right, just as you were placing that in, I felt as if, I can't say it felt like a hand, but something was rubbing my trouser and my ankle. Just, you know, across the bottom there, and it was done gently. It could be her energy, it could be her.
Could the spirit of a little girl have been trying to communicate with Derek? Although they waited for some time, no other activity was reported. After this, Richard, Carl, Tom, John and myself decided to head back out into the close to see if any entities would make themselves known to us. As we headed towards Chesney's house, Carl discovered a dark, narrow tunnel that he was keen to explore.
Bit of metal there.
Stick a head through first. Take Richard's big and torch, Carl. Take Richard's big and torch.
Now, wouldn't want to get out of there in a hurry.
Where's it going?
Anything in?
It
doesn't,
does?
does it? What, just like this little room? Narrow? Do you want the camera, Carl?
I don't mean to be funny, but what is that banging above us? What is that banging above us?
Well, we've only got to go upstairs, haven't we?
We're pretty high up still.
But listen.
This little hole thing. I think it was a drainage system.
Shh, Carl, listen.
Carl, you're right.
I think it was a drainage.
It's not coming from there.
Shit.
Carl. Shh, keep still, keep still, keep still. Carl, listen to this noise, Carl.
They hear a noise and leave me down in that drain.
It is. They're moving. They're actually moving. Don't know, something going through them, isn't it?
The council like that.
We didn't hear that before.
Well,
No,
I tell you what, that's consistent, isn't it? I mean, that's like a motor. That's like
It is.
It's not like. Do you know what I mean? It's not.
Sort of supernatural.
It can only be natural. That.
Oh, it's not. It's not paranormal. No.
We all agreed that the noises were man-made and were most likely to be vibrations that were travelling down from the street above. No other activity was apparent, so we decided to move on to Chesney's house to conduct a séance.
Concentrate on that energy and keep it moving round and round from right to
Although nothing much seemed to happen at the time, the locked-off camera caught this amazing light anomaly at the other end of the room. still new to this, Alex was keen to go on another vigil and set off with Carl, Stuart and Tom to Annie's room. Would the spirit of the little girl make herself known to the group?
Where are the teddy bears now?
In there.
Kind of lost.
Huh?
Kind of lost.
They're in this room here, Tom.
Fuck
Bollocks.
I'm not kidding
No,
you.
I heard that.
Where's it
No,
at?
no, I
That
didn't hear.
teddy bear, it just came...
I did hear something then as well.
It actually was here, and it just
I
went
actually
past
saw
my
that.
face.
No.
Yeah, it did, I swear. I absolutely swear I saw that.
I've got it. You know.
So, Tom, what happened? I wasn't even in the room, so...
I was walking in, and I was standing about here, and there's a tiny little teddy bear, and it just flew right in front of my face, and just landed on the floor. No, I can't explain it. That was just too freaky. Too freaky.
Alex, did you see anything?
I heard something.
I heard a thud. I must admit, I heard a thud myself, but I didn't. I've heard so many noises.
What sounded like a kind of noise.
Oh my.
That is just too weird.
What's your initial impression of it?
I feel really, really scared to the point where I actually don't want to look around the room.
I mean, I saw it before I heard it. Before it hit the ground, I saw it.
Can I ask a stupid question, Tom? It's really black in here, isn't it?
But I had my torch on.
Oh, did you? Oh, right.
Because
okay.
it was so dark. We walked in here, and there's nothing in here to give any light. So I had my torch on for safety reasons, so I could see where my feet were, and I saw the teddy bear.
Mary King's Close is a really eerie place to spend 24 hours with its meandering corridors and dark corners. Although we didn't experience too much activity on the night, Derek Acorah had apparently felt the presence of a number of spirits, both good and bad. We'd captured some amazing orbs on camera, and there'd been some unexplained activity in Annie's room.
When I arrived, I knew that a place with such history, hundreds and hundreds of years of whole families living, existing and of course dying in that area, that it was bound to be haunted in some way.
As usual, I was really looking forward to doing the investigation at Mary King's Close. During the day when I walked around, I really got a feel for how sombre the place is and how those people lived and died down there during the 1600s.
Thomas Weir. W-E-I-R.
Some of the things that Derek came up with, I'm not so sure about. He mentioned a famous male witch, but unfortunately he had absolutely nothing that we know of to do with Mary King's Close. Could have done. His sister may have lived there for all I know. Don't know. So, to be quite honest with you, the vast majority of what Derek came up with, I don't think we can either prove or disprove.
Overall, although I witnessed little paranormal activity myself, I do feel that there is something strange lurking around Mary King's Close that would warrant future investigations.
In a network like Mary King's Close, there are going to be lots of natural explanations for experiences that people may have, and also eyewitness testimony reports of apparitions and just a general sense of presence. Those things are infrasound, fluctuations in local magnetic fields, also other environmental explanations like drop in temperature, drafts and that sort of thing. There are a lot of explanations for orbs. Unfortunately, in this sort of environment where there's a lot of dust on the floor, then you're going to get dust particles kicked up from members of the crew. In addition to that, because of the location of Mary King's Close under the Royal Mile and under other streets where there's a lot of traffic, you may get instances where the traffic dislodge dust particles and other sort of particles from the ceiling, and then light captures that, and then you get orbs.
There's a tiny little teddy bear, and it just flew right in front of my face and just landed on the floor.
The incident with the teddy bear was fascinating, because if we take Tom's report on face value, it's a paranormal object. It's something that apparently flew of its own accord. However, a scientist would have to query this eyewitness testimony and say, we don't have the object flying on film, we don't know if the object was there on the floor beforehand.
Mary King's Close had been buried from the public for centuries, and maybe some of its previous inhabitants liked it that way. Until the next time, sleep tight.
Don't miss Living TV this Tuesday night at 8 when Colin Fry is amongst the mediums taking part in a big live show. The best of British mediums exclusive to Living TV. Up next, CSI.
Next on Living TV, it's CSI.